it's still such a well-tuned instrument for the human experience that it can delight us every time we turn cards over. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Blushing Nerd Tarot. It's been a little while since I've done a deck test drive, so I thought today I would bring up my newest acquisition for a test drive, the Pacific Northwest Tarot. So I'm very excited about this deck. This is, again, I mentioned on a previous video that this is a second printing. It is now available in the creator's Etsy shop. So if you look at go to Etsy, look up Pacific Northwest Tarot, you should be able to find it there. I'll also have a link in the description below. But yeah, so far really enjoying just flipping through the deck and getting a feel for the art style and the creators' interpretations or choices for the different animals to depict the cards in the deck. So pretty interesting stuff. And I can say too that this is fast becoming a favorite of mine for the cardstock. The cardstock on this is really interesting. I don't know exactly know how to describe it, because when you riffle shuffle and bridge it, it actually has sort of this very snappy, resilient, rubbery feel that I've not experienced before, and I'm guessing it has something to do with a lamination or something. I don't know. It is matte. It is glorious matte finish. Just has this great feel. Not if it is a rose petal, I would not call this rose petal. Let me start by saying that. But if this is maybe some iteration of that, it's a very light rose petal, so it's not at all sticky. The cards flow past each other quite nicely, but they also do it in this really different way that I'm having a hard time quantifying and qualifying. I can't quite make sense of it in my brain, and I've not experienced it with another deck. So if anybody else watching has another deck that has a similar thing or has any explanation for what makes this cardstock, unique and how it is compared to others that in most cases just don't feel like this, I don't know. I'm struggling. You can tell. It's just very unique and really luscious and just beautiful. So I'm really enjoying that aspect of it. If nothing else, just the tactile experience has been really good. So um, I'm going to experiment with one of the included spreads that was in the back. So there's a couple of spreads in the back of the book. Um, there's a Cascadia spread, and of course they all follow the theme, right? They're Pacific Northwest themed spreads. So Cascadia spread for unblocking tough decisions, 6-card spread, similar to the center of a Celtic cross. We have the Redwood spread for growth, which is, with the exception of one additional card, similar to the staff in the Celtic cross. And then we have the Rainy Day spread for gray days and dreary moments. So this is a 3-card spread. First card says, what is causing this constant drizzle? There's a reason why I'm choosing this one. Despite it being middle of summer and sunny and hot outside. Not that I'm a big fan of the heat, but we're talking about the metaphorical rainy day. We're not talking about what's happening outside. Card number 2, there's a patch of sunlight. Where can I find it? And then card number 3, how can I use this rain to grow? So I think that's a really nice way to approach that mood when we're, because everybody has that from time to time, some more than others, just that general rainy day feeling, rainy day being inside, not inside yourself, in your head, in your heart, that rainy day feeling. So anyway, I'm going to try this deck out using that spread. And spoiler alert, and apologies to anyone who doesn't necessarily appreciate reading from the book. I'm going to read from the book. I think there's a couple of reasons for that. First of all, it's a 3-card spread, so you're not going to be here a half hour listening to me read a book that you may already have in front of you. But presumably you don't. If you're watching a test drive of this deck, it might be out of curiosity for maybe going down this road, making this by yourself. But really, the reason I want to do that is because, first of all, the author has made some really interesting and deliberate choices with the animals and the artwork that they've put into this. And this is one of those instances where, sometimes creators will make a deck like this and then not really give you any sort of additional information as to why they made the choices they made. And it's not necessarily that we're getting a lot of that information here per se, but we do get a little short narrative that kind of helps you wrap your head around the choice and understand in a fun and memorable way. That's what I really like about these little stories, is that it's a great way to put some personality into the characters that the artist chose for the different archetypes. So we're gonna pick 3 cards, and this was a perfect one because it's been a little bit rainy for me. So nothing big, just have some stuff going on. And this seems like a fitting little spread that I'd like to go ahead and do and share the experience with everybody. If you don't have this deck, just something to think about. So, all right. So our 3 cards. So let's go back to the author's meanings here. We have, what is causing this constant drizzle? So, okay, strength. So strength, we normally think of that, the vitality. So interesting to think about that in this situation. But I'm going to go ahead and read what the author has for strength. It's on page 18 of the book. This is a sockeye salmon depicted here for strength. And I think we all know the story there. Salmon swim upstream, go to great lengths to mate, and that's it's quite a feat. So seems like a good pick here. The keywords we have for this strength card from the author: perseverance, willpower, vitality, calmness in the face of adversity, potency, strength of character, grace, and poise. I'm already, I know why this card came up. So the rest of the story here, I really like these, so bear with me. And if you don't enjoy when people read from the books, that's fine. You can you maybe watch some of my other videos. So, but thank you for stopping by. So, can strength exist without opposition? The salmon's strength is only necessary, only meaningful when positioned against the current. Strength against all the forces that push back against him, against doubt, against the water, against competition. It is that countering force that gives him the strength to face things directly, to fly upward, to leap. The salmon ponders this, or more likely, doesn't, as he charges forward in a single-minded, lustful drive. He is powerful and sure-finned. He is unstoppable by any force within or without. So, um, so I do know why strength comes up in this position for me. Um, it is related to um, the role change that's happened for me. Actually, both personally and professionally. I've because of things that have happened recently, I now find myself in more of a leadership role in both areas than I've had before. And in some cases, maybe it was there, but I didn't acknowledge it, or I didn't need to. But things change, and I've gladly taken on the extra responsibility, um, and I feel fine having to do that. But I also know that um, it's been relatively sudden and very big changes. So I know that in the background, I'm I'm definitely struggling a little bit with that. Um, it's almost akin to a loss of innocence in a way, I guess. And and that can have a big impact on you, you know. And I mean, we go through that when we're kids, but there's a another couple of stages of loss of innocence that we have to encounter at different points in our life that maybe because we're so busy we don't always realize we're going through it, or we won't characterize it that way. But I do think that there's a reality to that. That's how I feel. um, so let's go to card number 2. There's a patch of sunlight. Where can I find it? Ooh, the Chariot. How about that? So um so maybe control. If I acknowledge and embrace this new position in life, that really taking control of things can be my patch of sunlight. um because it's not that I felt out of control necessarily, um but it's not like these things were really in my control. I mean, work, I suppose, yeah. I've been pursuing things there that have come to fruition, but outside of work, absolutely not. These were not things within my control. Um, so let's see what the author has to say. We're on page 17 here. Um, so, gray whales, progress, overcoming obstacles, willpower and focus, ambition and determination, achieving goals with ease. The gray whale sighed a low croak of pleasure and exhaustion as finally the current began to sweep her forward. The pod had been swimming for days, often fighting against the pushing wells and pulling of tides. Now the ocean was working with them. As the current shepherded her along, she had only to make subtle shifts in direction, dipping a flipper or arching her fluke as she navigated parallel to the distant coast. She felt powerful with the strength of the ocean behind her. When she eventually turned out of the current, it was with less regret than she might have expected. She found she carried the ocean's strength within her. How, she wondered, could I be the current that carries my pod along? Wow. Oh, goodness. I mean, these kind of things just, they still surprise me with tarot, that it can be this spot on, despite my pragmatic approach that I tend to embrace this as a tool for breaking up creative blocks and et cetera, et cetera. It's still such a well-tuned instrument for the human experience that it can delight us every time we turn cards over. And especially you get a deck like this that has um, it's really well designed. It's cohesive. It feels like it all belongs together. Everybody has opinions about different things. Animal decks are not for everyone. I completely understand that. That's fine. You probably have decks that make you feel like this too. I don't have a strong feeling one way or the other. Actually, animal decks are relatively new to me. Um, but then so is everything, I guess. Um, but that's beside the point. I think it's the idea that these cards follow a system, and this is consistent with that system, this deck. And the end result is a sensation that some other is aware of me and my experience, is aware of all of us. It's not singular, it's just there. And this is a thing that was tapped into ages ago in a card game, and eventually just sort of massaged into an amazing little deck of cards that we can pull out and get a better understanding of ourselves, of the people around us. So I digress. We're only on card number 2. This was supposed to be a short 3-card deck test drive video, but I tend to not do short, I'm discovering. um Card number 3 is, how can I use this rain to grow? So, okay. So we have King of Wands. So, how can I use it to grow? Hmm. Part of taking on the new role in life um, does involve carrying the mantle a little bit, if that's the right term. Carrying the torch, I don't know. The um, allowing allowing myself um, to be the sort of the passionate driver of things, in a way. So let's see what the author has to say. We're on page 47. This is a gray wolf. Leadership, vision, control, decisiveness, execution, competence, and charisma. The father of the pack sniffed the air, and his tail gave an involuntary wag. A deer, likely several. His family was hungry, the youngest especially, and it was his responsibility to provide. Following the scent, he directed his pack forward. He guided them, teaching the youngest how to gauge the distance by the strength of the scent and the speed of the wind. When they were close, he struck out with several of the yearlings and their older siblings. He directed their motions, sending them along hoof-worn trails and ridges, always downwind of their quarry. To split the group, he split the group and circled back to guard the rear. Maybe it was a rustle of undergrowth or a paw placed too heavily. Maybe it was the uncanny self preservation of prey. Somehow the deer sensed something was wrong. They shifted restlessly until they caught the first scent of wolf in the air, and then terror set in. But when they turned back to flee, the alpha was waiting. Panicked eyes met smiling ones. The pack leader watched with pride as his children took down their prey. He let the youngest eat first. Hmm. So, I mean, mission accomplished for this rainy day spread and the deck in response to those positions. Um, hmm. So there it is. Um, hmm. Let me know what you think. hope you enjoyed it. I hope it's these deck test drives are fun to do. They're a good experience for me when I have a new deck, and I hope they help others who may be interested in the deck sort of get a chance to see through my eyes. Obviously, that changes things, but through my lens, how how the deck performs, or how it plays out when you use one of the spreads, if there is a spread involved from the book, and just how the author characterizes everything. So that's all I have for you today, folks. I really hope you enjoyed it. It was very meaningful for me, if nothing else. So I really enjoyed the exercise. So thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you on the next one.